Hello and welcome back to another episode of That Podcast. My name is Ryan Janke, and as always, I am joined by Pastor DJ Lura and Sarah DeYoung.
Hello.
So you're texting already. We haven't been recording for 4 seconds.
That is a text that you had asked me to send about something happening in the room we're recording in.
Oh, I see. Okay. All right.
So that was a work-related text.
Yeah. Sort of.
On your orders,
Kind of, sort of, yeah.
Ryan, you're like the dad who's like, kids these days always on their phone, and then you're the first one scrolling videos, volume on loud.
No. Wrong.
So, I've been out. How are you guys doing? I feel like I haven't seen you in forever. You've changed so much. I've been out of the state for like a week. So,
yeah. That's.
I don't think anything that we were doing was more fun than where you were.
That's true.
Well, and so, we finally went on a family vacation that's been 16 years in the making.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's been a long time. I mean, we went to what's the tagline? The most magical place on earth, I think is what it's called.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Happiest place on earth.
Yeah, the place where the mouse hangs his hat in Florida when he's there, not in California. And so we as a family we went to Disney World, and it was neat because again it was 16 years in the making. I have 3 kids, and my oldest is 16, and we'd always planned on taking our daughters, Addie and Reese, when they were around 8. I'm of the mind, I hold to the psychological viewpoint that all of us have an inner 8-year-old child.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the child that is your true self, and your dreams, your aspirations come forward from this child. And I am of the mind that if you do not honor this child, you will have what's called dissonance or cognitive dissonance in your older age, because you've moved so far away from the hopes and the dreams of that inner child. So it's important to think about, especially as an adult, if you have a lot of dissonance and a lot of like a midlife crisis type thing, is, are you honoring the 8-year-old? Would that child look at you and be proud of you, of who you've ended up being, right?
Okay.
And there's no better place to see an 8-year-old child come out in an adult than Disney World.
That's true.
So we're there with my son, who is 8, and immediately his 8-year-old, he turned 8 while we were there. So his 8-year-old child was in full majesty the entire time, right? Mm-hmm. Which was fun for me because they have Star Wars there, and you can ask my wife, I was geeking out. My kids were like, "You're such a geek." And I made it very clear to them. I said, "I'm not a geek. I'm a comic book nerd. There's a difference." They're like, "No, you're a geek." I'm like, "Whatever." Anyway.
Lame.
Whatever. I'm too smart. I'm a nerd. I'm too smart. Anyway, So I was my 8-year-old child was coming out big time when I saw the Millennium Falcon and all this stuff.
Oh yeah.
But it was neat to see it also in my older girls, who had always wanted to go to Disney, but because of the age difference between them and Dylan, when they were old enough to go, Dylan was not. So we needed to wait for our son to be older. So, and it ain't a cheap trip. You need some cheddar in the bank to be able to go.
Yep, you do.
Maybe even like 16 years worth of pennies and coins going into a jar of a Disney fund. But we had a great time. I have a bit of a gift that just keeps on giving from Disney, in that I sometimes life is a pain in the neck, and right now that's the case with me, as I have this flare up of chronic pain that I have. In my neck. Yeah.
It's not the gout or anything.
No, it's not the gout. It's I call it old man's arthritis, because it just came on in the last couple of years, but or in the last year. But it's this like degenerative arthritis in my neck.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Okay. And I was doing great. Great. There's 4 parks, right? There's the Magic Kingdom, which is basically like Disneyland in Florida. It's the same thing. If you've ever been in California,
I've never been. No, I've been to Disney World, but not Disneyland.
I'd never been to Disney World before. This is my first time. Magic Kingdom and Disneyland are the same thing, in my opinion. And then, so we did that, and we did Epcot the second day, and I was going strong. I was doing great. The third day, we went to Animal Kingdom, and there was a ride there. It was like a roller coaster in the dark, and it jerked me one way, and I heard pop, 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 and I went, "Oh, that's gonna be bad." And it has been. Yeah. And so, I can barely move my head. So luckily, we're doing this podcast audio only.
Yeah. How did your kids like Epcot?
So one of my kids, Reese, my 14-year-old, she got into the whole kind of the pins that you can get. There's still a lot of limits at Disney because of the COVID pandemic coming to an end finally, hopefully. There's still a lot of restrictions. Like, you can't go up to Disney characters, and cast members don't hand out pins anymore.
Oh, that's a bummer.
But she went and got pins, and they had like pin boards. You could come and you could drop a pin and then take a pin off of the board. So she got that. She got the pins. But then after that, never wore them, so she never got more pins. But at Epcot, she did passports, and you would go around to. For those who don't know, Epcot has a couple different areas. It has like an aquarium, and then it has like this tour of different cultures from around the world. And I kind of think of like, okay, so Disney World did its own version of Disneyland with the Magic Kingdom, right? That's, but then if you think of like other places that people go, Disney World has a way of doing things a very Disney way. So Epcot is like their science center and aquarium. I'm convinced of that. They have like an aquarium area and like a science. If you've ever been to like I grew up in Seattle, you had the Seattle Science Center where the Space Needle is located, and there's all these exhibits and rides and stuff. And I'm like, Epcot is that. That's what it is. And then they have the Animal Kingdom, which is basically Disney's version of the zoo.
Right. Yep.
And then they have Hollywood Studios, which is their version of Universal Studios. Anyway, I digress. My kids had a good time at Epcot, mainly because of a couple things. There's the Ratatouille ride there.
Oh, okay.
There's Norway, which was cool, and they have like a Frozen ride there that my kids really like too.
Yeah, so they have the big walk around the lake or whatever, right, where you can go get all the food and everything.
Yep. Yeah. And there's in the evening at every one of the parks, there's a little bit of like a light show or Epcot's the big light show is at the Magic Kingdom. It's their 50th anniversary, but Epcot's blew that one out of the water.
Oh, really?
It was just amazing. I mean, it was everywhere. Like we watched. There's this lake in the middle, and you have like this tour of the countries, and you start with Mexico, then it goes to, I think Norway is the next one, and then it like France and England and the United States or America is there, and we were in Norway during the big show at the end, so it was getting dark, and all of a sudden there's these tiki torches that just flamed up right next to us, and then you hear this voice from the sky start talking, and I'm like, I recorded some of it. I'm like, they're preaching. Like the whole thing that they're doing, there's a message that Disney is giving. It's not a Christian message, but it's a message of, I don't know, like an uplifting message, and and they do all these pyrotechnics with music, and it's very uplifting. And I'm like, churches could learn from this about how to strategize in sharing the gospel in such a way that, you don't give a person a chance to ignore it or deny it, because it was loud. It was super loud. So it's not like I could plug my ears and go, la, 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 the magic's in me, la, la, la,
totally
la,
immersed.
Right.
That's funny.
So yeah, that was really cool. And we as a family, we liked Epcot better, but I can tell you that the Magic Kingdom lights and fireworks brought tears to our eyes. So it was just really powerful that way.
Well, the reason I asked, I had never been there before, and we went about 10 years ago when my kids were 6 and 9, and we fumbled a little bit. We went to Epcot the last day, and by then they were tired.
They were done.
They were done.
Yeah.
They were over it, and not over not over it. They just could have used a little break and then come back like a day later.
Right.
And we went to Epcot and they were not interested at all.
Yeah.
Not a bit.
I think it helped a little. Like, Dylan was just Mr. Johnny on the spot. We're in the Jungle Cruise, and the person giving us the tour of the Jungle Cruises in the Magic Kingdom begins talking to Dylan, and Dylan begins cracking jokes back and forth with the with our guide. So, and then the
Did
next
they play sticks?
They didn't play. He didn't pull out the sticks with them, but he did in line with us, and we got people around us because you'd stand in line for 90 minutes. We had people around us starting to be like, "Hey, what is that game you guys are doing?" I'm like, "Oh, this is sticks." So Dylan was teaching.
Gonna go worldwide.
Dylan was being an evangelist. He was teaching complete strangers how to play sticks.
That's so funny.
In Epcot, we went and you do the Finding Nemo theme at the aquarium, and then you can go talk to Crush, the turtle.
Oh yeah,
who talks like it's animated, but he's talking to the people in the room. Well, who's the first one he calls on? And here's Dylan sitting right up front with the other kids. We're way in the back, right?
Sure.
In our rows, the rest of us, and all of a sudden you hear this turtle say, "Hey, how about that one over there, the little dude with the gray shell and the blonde noggin? You know, he's a turtle, so he's saying Dylan's gray sweatshirt is a shell."
Yeah.
He started talking to Dylan. He said, "Hey, little dude, can you say tubular?" And Dylan goes, "No." He's like, "Oh, that's okay. You don't have to say that. Can you say awesome?" And Dylan's like, "No." It's like, "All right, well, let's move on. Who's this one over here?"
That's funny.
So.
The one thing that I remember about Epcot, other than going around and eating, you know, the different countries, we went on the mission. Is it Mission to Mars? Is that what it is? Where you get
Mission Space inside the gigantic golf ball?
Yeah. Yep. Poor Haley. She was 6 at the time, and she was convinced that we went to Mars.
Oh, nice.
She was horrified. And part of the fatigue of the whole week had probably set in by then. But yeah, Epcot did not go over well with our children.
I think if you go, it depends on the time of the year too, because it was hot. I mean, but it didn't get hotter than 86. And our longest line was for the Ratatouille line. We waited about 2 hours.
Oh, wow.
But it was worth it. Like, there was another one. We waited 30 minutes for the Little Mermaid ride, and that was not good.
No.
That was in Magic Kingdom. But.
Did you guys do the family matching T-shirt for any day of Disney?
We did not. Although when you go there, they give you, like, if it's your first time, they give you first time buttons.
Yep.
And all of us were too cool to wear the first time buttons.
Oh, I wore every button they gave me.
Dylan wore his happy birthday button. Yeah. Which was kind of cool. Well, and it would be different if you could interact with the cast members and stuff. But like a Disney character would come out, like Mary Poppins came out, and she had security. Like
really,
they had to stand up, and you'd take a picture with them, and they'd be like 20 feet behind.
Stand back, you fiend!
Yeah.
Back peasants.
So I mean, it is what it is. Yeah. But
that was probably one of my favorite memories. We flew into Orlando when we went to Sarasota, and just seeing, like, going down there, leaving from Minneapolis, the like perfectly behaved kids, and they're like, they had their Mickeys and all the families of the matching shirts, so you could like spot which child belonged to who. And then coming back, it was like total opposite. Like, you had these kids that were angels going down. It's like dragging Mickey behind them. Dad's yelling to get everybody back on the plane so they can get home, and all still in matching T-shirts.
That's great.
I will tell you, if you ever travel outside of North Dakota, even if you're not a Bison fan, bring some Bison gear. Because I'm walking along, and all of a sudden, people were throwing horns in my face.
Yep, they're everywhere.
They're like, "Go Bison!" Horn, you know, it makes you jump. It's like, hey, woo!
Yep, they're all over the place.
Right?
Yeah, you know,
you won't be lonely.
No. I'm glad that your family was able to go. It's fun there. Hopefully we can get back there sometime. But I would be willing to put my excitement level right up against my children's excitement level when I was at Disney. Like when we were like, okay, we're going to go to Disney this year. And I was like, I guess I'll take one for the team.
Right.
You know, this one's for the kids. Oh, I had a blast.
Oh, absolutely.
I loved every second of it.
Well, like I said, going with my 8-year-old son, I was living, through him, and his excitement became contagious to me.
Yeah.
And every morning I think we all had a little bit of hangry in us because we'd get up at like 6 a.m. and you'd be walking around. I got in 18,000 steps one day, walked 7 miles.
So I never kept track of my steps, but speaking of food, you get I'm sure you got the meal plan or whatever.
I wanted to. They don't have it.
Oh, they don't?
No. You don't have it anymore.
So they had.
We bought snacks. We kind of cheated a little bit. We brought snacks.
Well, they had the meal plan, and I mean, there's food forever down there.
Yeah.
You know what my kids went for every day?
Hot dog.
No.
Ice cream?
Worse. The Uncrustable PB&J's, the same thing they get every day at school is what they got while we were in Disney. Like, what? What?
Was it at least like Mickey shaped, or was it still just?
It was the exact
Smucker's
same
Uncrustable
packaging that they have at Discovery.
That's very smart of them. Keep your diet the same. Don't
Not
break
at Discovery, but Bennett. Like, are you kidding me?
They know the energy level
That's
they get
right.
from them.
That's probably true. So cool. All right. Well, good. We're glad.
Well, that was a fun trip. We'll go again in like 20 years. When I have grandkids.
Yeah.
That'll be the next time.
And
I
you
go.
saved up for it by
Yeah,
then.
exactly. Start putting the pennies back in the jar again.
Cool. All right. Well, we're glad you're back. And while you were
Thank you.
gone, we continued services on Sunday. If you believe
I'm really glad to hear that.
Yeah, we did. This week, we talked about sanctification.
We did. And I believe it was Pastor Solhjem, Pastor Mark, who preached. But what is interesting about this message, the message was the sanctified life. For those of you who are listening who want a little bit more, going a little deeper today, you might be surprised to find out that there's a word that was never mentioned in the entire message.
There was.
What was that word?
Sanctification.
Exactly right. So let's talk about sanctification now. It's a word it's a theological word, and it can be a bit of a tough one for folks. But when you think of sanctification, what do you guys think of?
Sanctified.
Nice dodge.
When you said that this is what we were talking about, this is my probably stupidity of this. And good job on Mark. I was like, we didn't talk about that on Sunday. We talked about family. Church is like family. Come on.
Yeah.
Who's not paying attention?
Yeah. You're part of the family.
So sanctified is basically a fancy way of saying being holified. That would be a better way to put it. The sanctuary. It means the holy place. You're being holified. It's not a one-time thing. It's an ongoing thing. But people, I think, misunderstand it. That sanctified means that you become better and better. Like in the Catholic Church, you do have this kind of system of caste system, if you will, that you're a person. But as you get more holy in life, you can gain merit and move higher in rank. And so they'll vote on who their saints are. And then they have patron saints of different things, like St. Christopher, the patron saint of travelers, or St. Anne, the patron saint of, I believe, children. To get to that sainthood level, you have to become more and more sanctified throughout your life, become more holy, and ultimately perform, I think it's 3 miracles that can be verified by the church in order to be move into the category of a saint. Okay. Now, you can be a Christian and believe in Jesus, but that doesn't necessarily mean you're a saint. So there's different categories, if that makes sense.
Okay.
And in our day-to-day life, I think we think about that too, that we get better and better. I mean, isn't that kind of like the rationalistic philosophy of the Enlightenment? That the more we learn, the more we grow, we get better and better. That's the goal. You want to get better and better. Sure. Ultimately, if you get better and better, then that will remove any suffering from you, and you'll be happy. Mm-hmm. That's one way of thinking about it. That's not what sanctification is. Sanctification is really this. From the moment Jesus Christ tackles you, you spend the rest of your life getting used to the fact that you have a Savior. So it's not that you're getting better and better. It's actually that you're becoming more and more the good creation you were intended to be. Because when we think about getting better, we think becoming more and more like God. God didn't make us to become more and more like God. God made us in his image to be the good creation that he calls us and stop trying to be the creator. Mm-hmm. So your entire life long, what happens? Well, you begin to quit relying on yourself so much and begin to rely more and more on Jesus. The old sinner is dead and gone. That's justification. It's happened. But it's not so much a process of you getting more and more holy in this life. Like now I'm 51% saint and 49% sinner and 52% saint and 48%. Rather, it's you are wholly new in Jesus Christ. And sanctification is the process of an entire life spent getting used to that reality and believing it and living it. Does that make sense? Mark, I thought, we talked about this earlier in the week. I don't know if he used this phrase. I got to go back and listen. I need to go listen to his message on like 1.5 times speed. Speed it up. But he and I were talking about this, and he had this great phrase of the way of explaining it that I just thought was brilliant. And basically he was like, who are you living with? That's sanctification. Like it's not a one-time thing. That's justification is one time. It's you are saved on account of Jesus Christ who died for you. Justification on the cross in Jesus Christ for sinners like you, and you acquire it through faith. Sanctification is the entire life long of living in that promise. And Mark put it this way. He's like, at least with me, he said it's who. The more you live with certain people, the more you take on an identity that belongs to those people. It's kind of like, I'll say to my kids, you're a Solhjem, and that has a specific meaning to it. That's sanctification. It's you're a Christian. You're a child of God, and that becoming more and more your identity. If that's your identity, that has certain meanings that affects who you are. I mean, what does your family name mean about you? You ever thought about that? Like, what does it mean to be a Janky? What does it mean to be a DeYoung? Does that have certain meaning that would be different? Like I'm a Lura. That's not the same as being a Janky. It doesn't mean that one's better or worse. It just means this is my identity, right? And it's tied into my family. What a great way to speak about sanctification, your family. Because when you're tackled by Christ, when you're claimed by Christ, you become part of the family of God. Not as a birthright, so to speak, but as an adoption, that you're chosen. I have friends who are adopted, and I love how they talk about their parents, especially if they had siblings that were not adopted. And you know how kids get to teasing each other, and one's like, well, you were adopted. Yeah, well, mom and dad chose me. They got stuck with you. What a great comeback, right? I mean, that's the relationship that we have with God on account of Jesus Christ. We become who we were always meant to be, who we are in our true selves, our identity. Yeah. That you belong to Christ. And really, as a Christian, that should be your primary identity by which you understand and see everything else. Now, what does sanctification look like in life? It doesn't look like getting better and better or more holy. That's actually something that the scriptures warn about, that the Lutheran confessions warn about, that's self-righteousness. Rather, it's more and more humble. It's it's a life that reflects gratitude of who you are and where you come from. And it reminds me a bit of like growing up. Like, I don't know if you're like me, but when I was in high school, my parents could do nothing right. I mean, just a couple of losers. I mean, how could they possibly think what they thought? Until my first day no longer living under my parents' roof, and I had to go buy something, and I had to do my own laundry. And suddenly I'm like, these people are geniuses. How do they do this adulting?
How do you know all that?
Right. Or the question about, do you need to get an oil change? How often do you need to get an oil change? Well, when the light goes off, maintenance required is not a recommendation on your car.
That's great.
So, does that sound about right? I mean, does that speak to what you guys think about when you think of sanctification?
Yeah,
Definitely.
Do you think that, I mean, it's not to say that it doesn't change your behavior. It certainly does.
Mm-hmm.
You know, who you belong to, the family that you're a part of is a bit, it's your story and it changes you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's things that I wouldn't do because, boy, if my mom found out about it. My mom was a teacher in school, and so was my dad. I couldn't get away with anything.
No.
Because, you know, and so it changed my behavior, who my parents were, going to school. And it's the same with God.
Yeah.
That's sanctification.
Yep. Cool.
Good enough.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Nice.
Good.
Now what?
Well, you had some questions, I believe, right?
I do have questions.
Ooh.
Do we have time for questions?
I think we got a couple minutes.
All right.
We got some time.
Let's see. Do you care which one? Should I just grab one?
I need to ice my shoulder in 9 minutes. So as the pain grows, you might hear faster and faster answers.
All right. Well, let's just go with this then. What are demons?
So demons are.
I'm sorry. I should say that this question came from Elijah S.
Yeah.
Submitted through thatpodcast.net.
So the first thing to know about demons is that it's a Greek word, and it means basically like divine.
Say again.
Demon means divine, like the word.
Okay.
It's a Greek word, and we get the word demon. It's a transliteration. That means we took the word and put it right into English, kind of like baptize. Baptize is a I believe it's a Greek word that means to dip.
Oh.
But we use, baptizo is the original word. We just say baptize.
Okay.
Demon's the same thing. The word basically means divine or otherworldly. This doesn't mean God. It means a better way to translate it and to understand it means like unclean spirit. That's a demon. And there's a couple different ideas about demons. They're thought to be, through tradition, that demons were the fallen angels who followed Lucifer, Satan, when they were kicked out of heaven. We hear about that in I believe, Isaiah and in Revelation. And Jesus mentions about Satan falling from the sky. So, I mean, that's kind of the understanding of what demons are. They're otherworldly, unclean beings that are not for you. They're against you.
Okay.
And against the world, because they're serving the ruler of this world, Satan, and Satan is not in hell. So demons are not in hell. They're trying to stay out of hell. Unclean spirits and so on. The story of Revelation is that Satan he's not the Lord of hell. That comes from Dante's Inferno. Satan is kicked out of heaven, and so his area of influence has been greatly reduced. But he's limited to basically this plane of existence. And so what does that mean? It means he's like a caged animal. And he knows where he's going because the word of God has proclaimed it, that his end is going to be the lake of fire. And any unclean spirits also, their end is the lake of fire. That is their end. So that's where they don't want to go. And so the malevolence of them is to torment the saints of God. And to bring as many people with them is ultimately what they seek to do in order to continue their existence as long as possible.
Okay.
So what are demons? Unclean, untrustworthy spirits that seek to turn you away from God.
Okay.
How do we wrap our head around that? Here's what you shouldn't do. People get wrapped up into things like demonology or angelology or these type of things that are really kind of God's domain of understanding. It's the spiritual dimension of things. You have Revelation and you have other apocalyptic writings that basically pull back the curtain and show what's going on behind the scenes. And what you find out is that God is ultimately in control of everything. But it's in God's hidden will to understand how this stuff works, and that's not where we're going to find God. Instead, what we're going to find is God's wrath and despair. We're not going to find a place where we can trust God there. He wants to be revealed in his Son, Jesus Christ, and that's where we need to go. And the word of hope for Christians is don't dwell on demons or even give them a whole lot of thought. Throw the one name in their face that they can't stand, and that name is Christ. The devil can't stand against it either.
Cool. Okay. Well, there you go, Elijah S.
Hope I dodged that well enough for you, Elijah. Any follow-ups would be appreciated.
All right. Well, we do have more questions, but I don't think we need to get them all today. You got to ice that shoulder or the neck.
We're getting there. We can hold off on the other ones.
Yeah, we got more from Elijah S. So thank you, Elijah. And if you want to submit a question, we love that because it gives us something to talk about when we can't think of anything.
I love his name. I think his name, I got to look it up again, but I think his name means God is Lord.
Okay.
Elijah, or something close to that. It has El, which means God, and Jah, which means the Lord or Yahweh. Or Yahweh is God. It might be what it means.
Okay. Cool. Mm-hmm. All right.
The Lord is God.
Well, thank you. Thanks for being back.
Hey. Just not right unless we're all together, guys.
You know, something that I noticed, before you left for Disney, you got a haircut.
Okay.
And now I see that it's really growing on you.
And that's all we have time for this week. We'll see you next week. You can find us online at...
Come on. No?
That's
Nothing?
That's a dad joke. That's that. In the words of Pastor Cross, and then there's that.
And then there's that.
I had to. So on Sunday for the modern service pre-show, Sarah and I did the pre-show.
Nice.
And did some dad jokes.
Nice.
Yeah.
Ryan told dad jokes.
Oh, I see. You just politely stood there and
it was a lot of
Yeah, she didn't even give a courtesy laugh.
Oh,
I gave a small ha.
Like it was more of a it was more of a this is happening all over the
It's like
internet.
an agreeable
for everywhere
groan.
and for all time.
she's like, yeah, that just happened.
Yeah.
Can't take it back. No backsies.
Nope.
I love it.
And
All
it
right.
is forever.
Well, Sarah, would you like to pray us out of here?
Of course I can.
All right.
Heavenly Father, we thank you for today. And Lord, we thank you for your sanctification, that you help us know who we are in you, and that every day we are growing closer to you, and that you have chosen us to be your beautiful creation. And Lord, I just pray that whoever is listening knows that you are always with them, you are protecting them, you are guiding them. And Lord, that if they are questioning, that they can just turn to you and know that peace and hope. In your name we pray. Amen.
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 All right. Thank you for joining us this week. You can find us online this Sunday and every Sunday. And I'll get to something else, some other exciting stuff. But every Sunday at 9 a.m. and 10:30 a.m., we have services here in the building, 4601 South University Drive, or at atonement.live, or atonementfargo.org, or the YouTube.
Wow.
By searching Atonement Fargo. That's
We're all over the place.
That's every Sunday. Now, Lent is upon us.
It is tomorrow.
Yes.
Today is Fat Tuesday.
As we record
pancakes.
this, Ash Wednesday is tomorrow night. So, if you are listening to this in the season of Lent, you can find us Wednesday evenings at 6:30 p.m. At all of the places that I just mentioned. Join us for our Lent.
Or can't find it at all places, but if you want to be part of an exclusive group, you can come on site to Atonement, noon o'clock.
Oh, yeah.
We have another sermon series we're going to be doing.
Yes.
Called Lift High the Cross. And we're going to be doing a different form of worship in our sanctuary. we're doing something called Holden Evening Prayer, but it's at noon. And we want you to come and be a part of that. It's a prayer service over your lunch hour. If you're in the Fargo Moorhead area, come and join us at noon for that.
Yes.
So that's exclusive though, because that won't be online. You're not gonna.
That is only in person. Yes.
Yeah, standing room only.
4601 South University Drive in Fargo. So that's it.
That's all we got.
For Sarah DeYoung and Pastor DJ Lura, my name is Ryan Janke. Join us next time for another riveting episode of. Do you like that one?
That was a new one.
That podcast.
After 100 episodes, we got a new one. Wow.